Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and today I believe I'm going to show you some things that are pretty eye-opening. And those will involve a conversation about Bretton Woods, a conversation where of course it all involves Ripple and XRP or digital assets, but also I'm going to talk about Accenture in this video. That Accenture is one company that's an investor in Ripple that I have never really gone over on this channel to my knowledge. And I'm going to show you the road that I was led down when I covered this particular topic. And I think that it'll be a big eye-opener for a lot of you out there. But first, I wanted to start by showing some of the news that's going on and make a point on this first piece of news. First of all, it says half of Canadians say they are on the brink of insolvency as coronavirus threatens to burst country's consumer debt bubble. Now, remember, we've talked about this a lot. Our entire economy, not just Canada, but the U.S., most of the world, the economy has been built for the last 10 years on debt, government debt, consumer debt, credit cards, you name it. People have been building up debt because low interest rates. This is what happens. Well, now, and in conjunction with that, most people do not save money. And so I believe that's the gist of what this article is telling you. What happens when people who don't save money and put themselves in too much debt? What happens when the music stops and they're not getting a paycheck anymore? Credit, it collapses. That's what happens. And that is what everybody should be paying attention to as we go forward, because that is the nightmare that awaits us. It's one of the nightmares out of all of this. Okay, next I want to show you this. For those of you that don't know, and I'll give a shout out here, Gigi Sino, I guess is how you would say that. Let me make sure I follow her. She brought this to my attention. It says, look at the memo. What you're looking at here, and remember, the XRP ledger is completely transparent. You can look, there are websites where you can go and you can look at who transferred how much XRP and this type of thing. And in every transaction, the sender, I believe, is able to put in any they can type in anything they want to say in the memo section. Now, I'm not I don't know all the ins and outs of how all this works, but that's my understanding of it. This particular escrow item, it says, and I don't know if this could have been done by someone who is no one, or if this had to be done by someone who actually transferred this amount. What I'm thinking here is if they're transferring 500 million XRP, it has to be somebody. But I don't know if that can be manipulated or what. I don't know how all that works. But I believe that, and now, first of all, I want to show you, they're saying that it's initiated by the official escrower of the Digital Asset Investor channel. Okay. Now, this could be an April Fool's joke for all I know, and it could have just been something where somebody typed all this up and made it up. Okay. But it's still fun. Let's talk about it. It shows as the escrow owner, Ripple, as the receiver, Ripple, shows that the escrow amount is 500 million XRP, which would be around 86 million. Let's see, I think they said around 86.7 million US dollars. And in the memo, it says, this is for you, DAI. For those of you who are too young to know, selling before the run is like cleaning the day before the cleaning people come. As we won't tell her you gave him a donut a half hour before dinner. Just our secret on the blockchain. The revolution will be televised. This is this right here. This line is a reference to Jungle Inc., who is one of my favorite YouTubers and a good guy too. But all of this is in reference to, one day on my channel I was talking about how my wife wanted me to hire a cleaning lady, or like a cleaning crew, and then once I agreed to do it, now she took every day, the day before the cleaning crew comes in, she says that we have to clean the house. And I've never understood, why am I having to clean the house? I don't want to clean the house the day before the cleaning crew gets here. I want to leave dishes and leave things out and leave them laying around so that I feel like I'm getting my money's worth. They're actually cleaning up after me, you know? And so I made that point one day, and apparently this person must have heard that. I also said, and last night I was showing my wife this tweet here, and I told my wife, she goes, "What is this donut a half an hour before dinner?" And I said, "Well, that was the little secret I was not going to tell you, but one day I did let your son have a donut, right? But it was 30 minutes before dinner, and we didn't tell you. So now you know." And I didn't even get in trouble over this. But anyway, I may have to go in and actually look up this transaction to see if this is real. I guess it's real. But anyway, it's a small world, I guess. People are listening. So, all right, moving along. This is from Michelle Vandenberg, and he sent me this. Treasury Secretary Treasury Secretary Mnuchin says he's having ongoing discussions about infrastructure. And when I saw this, it reminded me of this Donald Trump tweet that we saw, I guess, yesterday. With interest rates for the United States being at zero, this is the time to do our decades-long awaited infrastructure bill. It should be very big and bold. $2 trillion and be focused solely on jobs and rebuilding the once great infrastructure of our country, Phase 4. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing what Phase 4 is. This will be interesting. All right. From XRP Crypto Wolf, many governments are considering direct digital payments to households and small businesses outside of the traditional social protection mechanisms. Governments worldwide seek 4 ways to respond to the economic and social consequences of the global pandemic. Let me make sure I did not say the word in this thing. Okay, I did not. All right. I'm trying to be careful about not saying the word that you're not allowed to say, right? Then from Michael at VAL5 Links, and he makes a very good point here. This is from a Bloomberg article. In the aftermath of the 2008 crash, debt levels were increased, encouraged in part by low policy rates and the abundant liquidity engineered by central banks globally. Global debt as a percentage of GDP rose around 250% in 2007 to 325% in 2019. 325%, folks. So now we're in a situation that's 10 times worse than what it was. And that's the dirty little secret that none of these guys want to talk about. Okay, now this was an interesting tweet as well from a couple of days ago I missed. Ethereum 2.0's Phase 0 multi-client testnets will likely go live in April, predicts Buterin. And so remember, about a month or two ago, Spring from Ripple, they were over at the Denver summit. I think it was a Denver Ethereum summit, and they were working on connectivity with Ethereum. And this is why I think they work, is because they know that Ethereum 2.0 is coming out. The original Ethereum was not was proof of work, and that was and we know proof of work does not work. So I believe this is why Ripple they realized this was going to be a thing, so they wanted to make the Interledger protocol interconnected with Ethereum 2.0 probably. All right, now I don't know if this has ever been talked about before, but Bretton Woods 75 was like an anniversary of Bretton Woods, and you'll remember that Bretton Woods was created. Bretton Woods is where the IMF was hatched, the World Bank. This is where all of this was hatched, okay? And Bretton Woods was basically to make the world more of a global thing instead of all these countries being on their own island, so that we wouldn't have another world war. Okay, so Bretton Woods, but this was is Bretton Woods 775.org. This is the 75th anniversary of Bretton Woods, which happened this past year. But I decided to look around on this website. I wanted to show you this intro video so you can kind of get an idea about what this is about. Let me do a refresh and see if we can play that. All right. Let's see if that is ready to. There we go.
In 1944, 700 delegates from 44 countries gathered in Bretton Woods, New Hampshire, to design a monetary system for the post-war era. An international financial structure is still in place today.
Almost three-quarters of a century ago, the Bretton Woods Conference was taking place. According to the conference, sounds civilized. In reality, it was a brutal fight. The US dollar became central world currency. The balance payments adjustments were the responsibility of debtor countries, surplus countries, nothing to do with it.
The result system created lasting financial institutions like the International Monetary Fund and ushered in an era of immense growth and progress, and it also led to systemic imbalances, recurring and increasing volatility. This summer, on the 75th anniversary of Bretton Woods, 180 of the world's boldest and most diverse thought leaders were united at the iconic hotel for 3 days to examine the relevant legacy frameworks and explore new economic systems.
Part of the change that has to happen is to revalue things that we have chosen not to quantify.
So how do we engage in a way that actually optimizes a collective intelligence for optimizing our collective design capacity? We can actually say that is maybe the goal of what an economic system should be.
75 years from now, what do we want our global economy to look like? What can we do now to bring vision to life?
Here are some of the requirements to do a moonshot. It's full systems thinking and an audacious and bold vision. So I ask, is this our economic moonshot?
Okay, so that was the intro to that Bretton Woods 75th anniversary. So I wanted to go down and show you who some of the people were that were at this conference. And here's the these are the global experts that came and basically spoke at this conference. Well, let's see. Here we've got a former U.S. executive director to the IMF. Here we've got Larry Summers again. He's the former chief economist, World Bank and U.S. Treasury Secretary, and also on the board at the Digital Currency Group, which also owns is one of the first investors in Ripple and R3. As we go down, here's a chief market strategist from J.P. Morgan. We've got this is the fourth. Look, Sheila Warren is with the Fourth Industrial Revolution Center at the World Economic Forum. Does anybody remember the Center for the Fourth Industrial Revolution? Yes, that would be that same document that came out where the central banker digital currency toolkit that said that XRP would be an interbank settlement along with JP Morgan coin. That's from that document, came from the center of the Fourth Industrial Revolution. And then you have, let's see, anybody else? Here's an interesting one. John C. Rogers, former Deputy Assistant U.S. Secretary of Defense. All right. So let me see if there's anything else interesting worth showing you from this. Albert Einstein said, we cannot solve our problems with the same level of thinking that created them. Okay. Now, so I went to YouTube to see if I could find any interesting videos from this Bretton Woods conference. And this is the interesting one that I found. Bretton Woods 75 is actually the channel. You can go and there's all kinds of videos. But this one, let's look in the description here. It says, what should our global reserve currency be? They called this sound money debate. What should our global reserve currency be? Featuring distinct viewpoints argued by. So this guy this lady right here is founder and president of the Chamber of Digital Commerce. And she, of course, is arguing that this global reserve currency should have something to do with digital assets. This one is arguing for the digital renminbi. And then this guy's arguing for gold. And then this guy's arguing for things to stay the same way. I'm going to play you the part from the girl at the digital Chamber of Digital Commerce. And the reason I wanted to show you this is those of you that think all this talk about a potential, changes to the SDR basket at the IMF, all of you that think that that's crazy talk, the idea that could happen or that could be in discussion and those type of things. Well, I'm showing you the discussion. It is in the discussion. This isn't just YouTubers talking or things like this. This is in the discussion. When you're seeing people like this, and at these types of conferences, and they're having this discussion, and it's people from the Center for the Fourth Industrial Revolution, from the World Economic Forum that are there. This is the discussion, folks. That's why it's not crazy talk, because they're talking about it. So listen to what this girl says. Remember, this is the girl from the Chamber of Digital Commerce. And then I'm going to show you a little more about the Chamber of Digital Commerce. Here we go.
A little bit about, why you think digital currencies, and in particular digital currency, is the key to reserve currency of the future.
It'll be my honor. And I'll start with these statements from my personal views, not those of any particular company or organization. I'll start with a quote from Hu Jintao, who served as General Secretary of the Communist Party of China. The current international currency system is a product of the past. The global financial system has evolved radically in the past 75 years. I'm sure the creators of the Bretton Woods system could have ever imagined. With the introduction of advanced technologies like blockchain, the next 75 years are going to be transformed even more so than the last. For thousands of years, societies have largely flocked to using gold and silver as money. The Bretton Woods system was a type of gold standard. The price of gold was agreed to be $35 an ounce. The U.S. dollar would be the reserve currency. Other countries would peg their currencies to the U.S. dollar, and they could legally demand gold from the U.S. Treasury. If you think of that system, it's very different than where we are today. The transition from a gold-backed currency to fiat began in 1965, which was just 45 years ago. It really was not that long ago. It wasn't until 1976, which was 43 years ago, that the definition of the dollar in terms of gold was removed from statute. So this was the legal way until just a couple decades back. And it was in the 1980s that all industrialized nations moved to floating currencies, meaning no gold backing. So again, just a few decades ago, we had a very, very different system than what we're all using today. So much happened. There's absolutely no way that the status quo will remain. And that is a poke at you, Greg. Change is the only constant in life. And our global monetary system is incredibly sick, and there's symptoms of all around us. Global debt is at unsustainable levels. Global trade wars are escalating. Inflation is on the rise around the world. We're over-leveraged. We're hundreds of trillions of dollars in debt, and central banks are not equipped to deal with these consequences. Adjusting interest rates and printing more money are not going to fix these problems. We can't solve problems by using the same kind of thinking we used when we created them, to steal a quote from Albert Einstein. A paradigm shift will emerge, and cryptocurrencies are most well positioned to be that paradigm shift, and in fact, they already are. Just look at what's happened in the past couple of weeks. In response to Facebook, Libra cryptocurrency project, governments and central banks around the world are feeling threatened. For the first time in history, the sitting president of the United States of America tweeted about Bitcoin. Just a few days after that, the U.S. Treasury Secretary, Mnuchin, he held a press conference about cryptocurrencies, and he stated that the Treasury takes very seriously the role as the U.S. dollar as the world reserve currency, and will continue our efforts to protect our country. This is what it's about. Our country's leadership fully recognizes what's at stake here, and they will fight to the bloody death to keep China and corporations from removing the U.S. dollar as the World Reserve currency status. However, quietly in the background, the crypto asset ecosystem is continuing to grow and harden. In the crypto asset industry offers an alternative to fiat, and Bitcoin is already serving as the reserve currency of the crypto asset ecosystem, representing over 65% of the total market cap of all digital assets. The world needs a trustless system that cannot be manipulated by governments, bureaucrats, or corporations. Decentralized cryptocurrencies cannot be uninvented. They are the future, and blockchain technology is going to be the backbone of the digital economy. So I'm advocating for an alternative to the system that we have today that's built on blockchain-powered crypto.
I just wanted to show you that to let you know that this is the conversation. And how ironic is it that a lady that was in attendance there is actually at the Center for the Fourth Industrial Revolution, which put out the CBDC toolkit, which includes XRP and JP Morgan coin as an interbank or intrabank digital asset. What are the chances of that? Think about that one. Okay, now, as I told you, that lady is this is her name. Pierre Morgan, founder and president of the Chamber of Digital Commerce. So I decided I would go look at the Chamber of Digital Commerce's website. What do we see when we go to that website? Well, the first thing that you see, if you look at the home page, is Brad Garlinghouse, dead freaking center. Folks, that's the first thing you see. I mean, you can't make this up, folks. And it's talking there about how he's going to the DC Blockchain Summit. All right. And then here it is, who we are, our mission to promote the acceptance and the use of digital assets and blockchain-based technologies through education, advocacy, and working closely with policymakers, regulatory agencies, and industry. Our goal is to develop an environment that fosters innovation, jobs, and investment. Here's the leadership team, and that's her, the one that just spoke. And if you go down here, let's look at the board of advisors. Well, this guy's from the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. This guy is Chris Giancarlo, who was with the U.S. Commodity Futures and Trading Commission and is heading up the digital dollar. Remember, he's the one in charge of the digital dollar. I can't remember if they called it Digital Dollar Foundation. Later in this video, I'm going to feature it. So Digital Dollar Foundation. I can't remember if that's what it's called, but anyway. And then as we go down, there's Blythe Masters from the Digital Asset Holdings. Remember, she's also from JP Morgan. She's the lady that JP Morgan sent to get a grip on this digital asset thing. And then you've got this guy he was with the U.S. Commodity and Futures Trading Commission. You got James Robinson. He's an investor in Ripple. And I think he's on Ripple's board of directors as well. And then you've got several others. This guy's Don Tapscott. Let me make sure I didn't miss anybody. Don Tapscott is senior advisor at the World Economic Forum. We've got David Treat, managing director, global blockchain and lead Accenture. We are about to talk about Accenture because they're also an investor in Ripple. Then we've got this guy, Deputy Assistant Attorney General for the U.S. Department of Justice, Jason Weinstein. And then you've got Head of Global Public Policy of DTCC and Commissioner U.S. Commodity Future Trading Commission, Mark Wetjen. We've talked about him on this channel before. Okay, so you can kind of see, look, the more I talk about Ripple and XRP and digital assets, the more intertwined all of this gets. All roads lead to World Economic Forum, DTCC. Just look through these names. Accenture, Digital Currency Group, the CFTC, all levels of government, IMF, World Bank, World Economic Forum. All of these things are intertwined. And the more you look at this, the more it becomes obvious. It will become even more obvious as this video unfolds. All right. Okay, so there was this, Matthew Line, I had sent me this, so I wanted to at least cover it. Swift forced to go DLT because of XRP. Distributed ledger technology, progressing technology through industry initiatives, And then Swift's DLT proof of concept with Hyperledger, they mentioned that. And then down here it says, let's see, find out how ISO 20022 can better enable DLT. And then on this next page, we get to this latest insight, Swift GPI DLT, Nostro reconciliation. And then down here it says Swift and Accenture outline path to DLT adoption within financial services. Right? Remember Accenture, and then remember BNY Mellon is also, they made a decision that they were going to work with a solution that would complement Swift GPI in this whole thing, remember? All right, so now let's move along, and I wanted to cover this before I get into the Accenture discussion. All right, this is from XRP Crypto Wolf. IMF issued a 7-step guidance for the financial system. Don't change rules. Use buffers. Encourage loan modification. Don't hide losses. Clarify regulatory treatment of support measures. Strengthen communication, coordinate across borders. All right, now let's talk about Accenture. Before we talk about Accenture, I wanted to give a shout out here, give these guys some credit. Now, I want to tell you, first off, when I first started to research Accenture this morning, I realized that the guys from SPQR Media had done a deep dive on Accenture from February 3rd, 2019. I intentionally have never watched their video. And the reason I did that is because I wanted to do my own research and present what I have. And then later today, I'm going to go back and watch their video and see if there was some commonalities. No, I didn't watch their video at all. Never have watched it. But I wanted to present it to you guys to give them some credit for one. You should go and subscribe to them and go look at all of they did a lot of great deep dives, but go watch their video as an add-on to whatever it is that I uncovered today, because these guys are good at what they do. Okay, so my journey starts here. This is Ripple's webpage. And I've never gone into the Accenture ties and anything having to do with Accenture to my knowledge on this channel. It's possible I've touched it before, but I'm pretty sure I've never gone and done any kind of a dive to find any connections with Accenture. So here we go. But they were one of the first investors in Ripple. And I believe that Accenture, after what I've looked at, Accenture is one of the core components of having opened all sorts of doors for the guys at Ripple. Accenture is connected worldwide all the way to the heights of power, just like these other things that I've covered. All right, so let's start here. The first thing that I ran across was this from I Am Legion. I had forgotten, but Marcus Treacher, who is the SVP of Customer Success and a member of the Ripple Board of Directors, worked at Accenture, as well as Swift, HSBC, this clearing company, Citibank. All right. So Marcus Treacher was at Accenture. All right. That's one thing I wanted to bring to your attention. All right. The second thing I wanted to bring to your attention is that when you do a search for the fourth industrial revolution, and I brought this up the other day on one of my videos. If you do a search for the fourth industrial revolution, Accenture is the first thing that comes up, and not only comes up, but they're advertising the fourth industrial revolution, and you can click on their ad. And when you do click on their ad, here's what comes up. And I don't think I showed you this video the other day. They called this Industry X in this video. I'll show you a little bit of this video, and it's probably pretty interesting. Well, just stop. Hold on. Let's see if we can get that going again. All right, let's see if it'll work this time. If it stops on us again, we'll just quit. All right, I don't know why that video is acting up, but it's not that important. I just wanted to show you that these guys are all about the fourth industrial revolution. I think that page may have had to load. Let's try it one final time.
A challenge is to understand just how profound these changes are for the world and for these companies. This is not called the fourth industrial revolution for nothing.
The vision of Industry X is to transform industries. We're not there yet. Three things about Industry X. Number one, smart products. That actually is progressing very well. Number two, the connected product. The idea is to create new business models. It mostly hasn't happened yet. And number three, the vision of Industry X is really to re-engineer the way products are engineered and manufactured. Has it happened yet? Not really. So Industry X is out of the gate, but it's starting incremental. And now we have to help the industries, we have to help our clients to really come transformation.
Accenture's strategy is to help our clients relate to the new. And the new, of course, is everywhere. The new is underpinned by innovation. So in order to help our clients, we built an innovation architecture.
The innovation network that we have built for our industrial clients is to help them envision, touch, feel, what are the ideas and the way they can transform their own operations.
Understanding how IT meets engineering, what happens in the world in the Internet of Things, that's what our innovation centers are about.
Welcome to the Arking just outside Munich. We're using three core techniques: industrial design thinking, combined with a set of technology demonstrators, and then finally a connected product Liquid Studio, which allows us to rapidly prototype solutions based on the issues we discussed with them in our design thinking workshops with our clients, using sensors, using analytics, industrial IoT platforms to really demonstrate where value can be created in the new industrial value chain.
So it's really coming in with issues and leaving the centers with solutions.
Innovation is one of those terms are very easy to say, very easy to understand, and sort of very hard to operationalize in the real world.
So anyway, it looks like they're talking about a lot of different things, but the world's going digital, and these guys seem to be at the forefront of everything. All right, so let's start to go through a little bit about Accenture. And what I decided to do is that I would go to their board of directors, and let's find out, because you more or less you put people on your board of directors because of who they are, where they are, and who they're connected to, is what I would believe. So let's start with David Roland, okay? David Roland. Now, this guy, I looked all through his thing here, and there's one thing that I'm going to cover that really the main reason I'm covering this is because my father, the official father of the Digital Asset Investor channel, went to Georgia Tech. So it turns out that this guy is on the board of trustees for Georgia Tech, the Georgia Tech Foundation. So I decided, and now I'm showing you this. I'll show you a lot of the people that are in this board of trustees, but this guy's on the board of trustees, and I'm really just throwing this out there for the official father of the channel. But it also has a lot of interesting people that are on this board. Let's start to go through some of these. Well, I'll just name some of them. If I see one that jumps out at me, I'm looking on this side over here. You got one of the retired guys from Delta. You've got all sorts of people that are with major companies, which you'll see here. But let's see. Legg Mason, you got people from, let's see, PepsiCo, all sorts, Walmart, major executives. You've got the CEO, president and CEO of Waffle House. For those of you that like Waffle House, I know I do. But anyway, as you go through, and here's the most interesting one I saw. They had the president and CEO retired of Federal Reserve Bank of Atlanta. So anyway, it's just a bunch of ex-CEOs and current CEOs, and all kinds of connections there. But this one's for you, Dad. In one of my videos, I talked about Georgia Tech, where you went to school. All right. Next, let's look at Julie Sweet. Julie Sweet is on the board, and she is also the Chief Executive Officer of Accenture. And when you start looking at Julie Sweet, things begin to get interesting. Let's look at her for a minute. She is, first of all, she's a member of the World Economic Forum's International Business Council. So there she is at the World Economic Forum. I tried to find this International Business Council. It says here that she's in it, but I couldn't find a list of the people that were on that with her. It's really not that big of a deal. We've covered enough about the World Economic Forum. I just wanted to let you know that she is plugged into the World Economic Forum. She was at Davos 2020. She's been at Davos more than once. I'm going to show you this video clip. This is from when she was there this year, or not 2020. I guess this was, let's see. Yeah, it was 2020. Davos 2020, this was when she was there.
As we think about what happened this week in Davos, two big themes from both our one-on-ones and panels is that enterprise transformation that's fueled by digital and technology is real, and so certainly every company has to understand to be competitive, they need to move with speed and scale, but at the same time, there is an absolutely real and tangible commitment to do that transformation in a way that will benefit all. And so this idea of stakeholder capitalism, of not having to make a choice between shareholders and the other stakeholders, I believe is a very, very real commitment on CEOs, and it's super exciting. When I think about this week, there's been a lot of really great moments and exciting moments. You know, you get so stimulated by new ideas. But I have to say, I was struck by a panel that we hosted on Great Place to Work. And we had the CEOs of Workday with us, the CEO of Cisco, and then the digital officer of Santander. And what I loved about the panel was just how tangible and real the steps around everything from inclusion and diversity to doing innovation at scale. And it's a different conversation than a few years ago, where it was a lot about exploration. And instead, you had this incredible panel about real things. And we had Michael Bush from Great Place to Work for All there, which was a real privilege. And it was a real high moment for me in listening to these other leaders talk about what they're doing and recognizing that you know, this is not an exception to the movement. You know, I'm really excited about the role that Accenture plays at the World Economic Forum, from our amazing technical team that runs all the technology. I want to give a shout out to them, to our thought leadership that we put out here, and that involves many, many leaders and people across Accenture. To the position that we have in terms of being a leader in stakeholder capitalism and sustainability and leadership, that our fantastic marketing communications team helps get those important messages out. And really the respect that, you know, I hear, I've done, I think, 20 already CEO one-on-ones. I've got 10 more today. And there's a universal respect. As we go forward, I think the importance of staying the course in both inspiring by example and what we do, how we grow, and helping our clients achieve their goals is really important. And I'm just really proud of everyone at Accenture.
Okay, I thought that was a pretty cool video from her at Davos 2020. In fact, this looks like it might have to be my thumbnail of her with Accenture in the background. I picture the digital asset investor logo here, maybe XRP here, and then something catchy right here. I'm feeling it. Okay, now let's look a little bit more at Julie Sweet. Now she's also, let's go back to here, she is also on the board. I forgot to look this one up, Center for Strategic and International Studies. But I did look up the other one that was on here. She's in the Business Roundtable. I decided to look at the Business Roundtable. I want you to see some of the people that she's on the Business Roundtable with. Okay, here we go. Let's see. I'm just going to pick the ones out that jump out. So there she is, Chief Executive Officer of Accenture. There's ADP, Aflac. You've got Jeff Bezos is on this with her. American Airlines. Let's see. I'm going to pick out the ones that I know have to do with what we always talk about. There's Tim Cook from Apple. Let's see. Bank of America. Oh, Brian Moynihan from Bank of America. The CEO of Bank of America is there. Look at this. Oh, look who else we have. We have BlackRock's Larry Fink is on this. And then you've got, let's see who else. There's got to be some others that look like people we've talked about before. The CBRE group. That's and then we've got Citigroup, Michael Corbett, Chief Executive Officer. Then you've got Coca-Cola CEO is there. Man, there are so many people that are big time on this list. There's Michael Dell. And then as we go down, just about every major chief executive officer in the world is on this list, folks. And look, the CEO of Goldman Sachs is on the list. And we've also got, we've got our buddy Jamie. Look, the CEO of IBM's on there. We've got our buddy Jamie Dimon's on the list. I'll get to him in a second. JP Morgan right here. So Jamie Dimon is there. So everybody who is anybody in the world of CEOs is on this list. There's the MasterCard CEO. Then Morgan Stanley's CEO is there. So anyway, apparently this Business Roundtable is the place to be if you're a CEO of a major company. All right, so let's move on to the next person, Jaime Ardilla. He is on the board at Accenture, and the most important thing I got about him was that he's chairman of the board of Goldman Sachs BDC, which is right here. This is Jaime Ardilla right here. Now Goldman Sachs. Let's go to this. The about. Apparently this is focused on lending to middle market companies. So this is like a division of Goldman Sachs, but he's the chairman of this division. All right, who's up next? Nancy Mckinstry. As we go down to Nancy Mckinstry, it looks like she is, let me see what jumped out the most. This right here is the part that I thought was most interesting about her, because she's connected to many major industrialists in Europe. She's a member of this European Roundtable of Industrialists. The members on that include all sorts of major people: Volvo, Titan Cement, Heineken, L'Oreal, all these major European companies, Nestle, Rolls-Royce. So the royalty of European executives are all on the list, and she's in this group with all these people. There's BMW, Royal Dutch Shell. Let me see if I recognize Nokia, Renault. All kinds of major people. All right, and then we have. Let's get rid of some of these. I'm trying to delete some of these. All right, and then there was this. I'm trying to sprinkle in any video that I found having to do with Accenture and Ripple, and this is one from Bank XRP. This guy's with Accenture, and he talks about Ripple. Listen.
How are banks addressing distributed ledgers?
Well, as I say, distributed ledgers are still in an early stage, and the industry is very much in a discovery phase at the moment. But it's very important for banks to participate in that in order to learn. I see distributed ledgers evolving along three steps. I mean, the first step will be international payment, and this is an area where technology is actually maturing quite quickly. So, for example, with Ripple, who we're working with, I can see a lot of activity over the next 12 months. The second area is in interbank settlement. Interbank settlement is critical to get interoperability of payments and to extend reach, and distributed ledgers are ideally suited to that particular use case. Okay. And then lastly, I see moving from interbank settlement to inter-account settlement. So in a similar way, you've got a Bitcoin wallet at the moment. You can pay anyone with a Bitcoin wallet. Eventually, with distributed ledgers, will allow that from bank account to bank account. Now that will probably take 5, possibly 10 years, and it will require fiat currencies to be in some form of crypto format, and it will also require complete transformation of core banking. But the key point is that the payments landscape in the next 3 to 5 years is becoming much clearer, and that is why it's opportune for banks to set payment strategies with confidence. The one area that is less clear, the jigsaw that needs to be filled in, is distributed ledgers. So that's why it's important for banks to participate in the current discovery phase, so to set up innovation labs, for example, do proof of concepts and so on, in order to learn how digital ledgers will develop, and then taking those 3 steps I've just mentioned. Secondly, with immediate payments, so that's going to transform the customer experience, it's going to transform the services banks can offer them, and it's also going to require a transformation of the back office technology and operations. And then lastly, the digital ledger is still very early stage, but facilitates both ubiquitous banking with ubiquitous payments as well as real-time payments.
So there you have it. Oh, that guy said a mouthful, didn't he? Okay, let's go on to the next. This guy's name is Aaron Sarin, and this guy's connected big time, all the way to the top, folks. This guy, if you look here, he's a chairman of the board of directors of Cerence Inc. He's a director at Charles Schwab. Let's look at that. He's one of the guys, here he is right here. He's a director at Charles Schwab. And remember, who did Charles Schwab recently buy? Did they buy, was it TD Ameritrade that they bought? And TD Ameritrade was getting into digital assets. But anyway, Charles Schwab's in the game. All right. So he's also, let's see what else he does. This is the one that grabbed my attention. He is a non-executive director of the court of the Bank of England. So I looked him up. Now, this is back in 2005. He may no longer be on this, but do you think he's connected with the Bank of England? The bank welcomes the appointment to its court of directors. Paul Miners, chairman of Marks and Spencer, and Aaron Sarin, chief executive of Vodafone. So the Bank of England appointed him to be on the court of the Bank of England. I think the court is kind of like their board of directors. Well, he's a non-executive director on that board of directors at Bank of England, or was. I'm not sure if he still is. Okay, and then, but the most interesting part about his resume is this. In 2010, he was named an honorary knight of the British Empire for services to the communications industry. So I decided out of curiosity, well, who else is an honorary knight of the British Empire? Let's go look. Might be interesting. List of current honorary knights and dames of the Order of the British Empire. So here we go down this list. And I think must be the people that are living, I guess. But as we go down this, I just was looking for people that I might recognize that are that are in this British Empire. I forget the name already. Honorary knights and dames of the Order of the British Empire. So I was going down this list. Look, Steven Spielberg's on it. Lou Gerstner, who used to run IBM, is on it. Alan Greenspan is one of them. Rudy Giuliani. Remember, Rudy Giuliani was the guy that Ken Curson, who's on the board of directors for Ripple, worked with and helped him write his book. Okay, helped with his campaign. Let's see who else that we recognize on this. Bill Gates. Remember Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, who does work with Ripple. They're also on this. Klaus Schwab. Do you know who that is? Klaus Schwab is the guy that started the World Economic Forum. Let's keep going down this list. There's Aaron Sarin that we're talking about from Accenture. And then as we go down this list, will we recognize anyone else? There's Melinda Gates. She's also one. Michael Bloomberg. He's on the list. He's the one that I can't remember the name of the New Order Economic Council, the Bloomberg Economic Council, something to that effect. He formed. We showed you that the other day. Look who we have on this list. Looks like Anna Boaton. Now that's the same Anna Boaton that spoke right before Brad Garlinghouse at the New York Economic Club, right? And it's the same Anna Boaton that was talking about how we will have, I think it was over 2.4 billion digital wallets in the next year. And it's the same Anna Boaton who runs Banco Santander. And it's the same Anna Boaton who has created the app that uses Ripple. And it's the same Anna Boaton. If you remember a minute ago when we were watching this video and we got to this point, this guy, right, one of these guys, I think it was this guy, she said was the head of digital something. He was the head digital officer or something with Santander. Remember that? So, yeah, that's the same Anna Boaton. And I don't know if we recognize anybody else on this. Ralph Lauren is on the list. Look, Kevin Spacey, who has shamed his name in a recent scandal, I believe. Okay, so now let's move along. Now I got this from Stephen Bull from the D-App. I just went to Twitter and typed in Accenture and Ripple. Here's another video.
More and more mature, the technology.
By the way, the guy that's speaking is production grade implementation happening. John Velaceros from Accenture, an investor in Ripple.
The applications that are being put in it are much more significant. So it's no longer sort of experiments and POCs and pilots. Things are going into production. Last year, I was involved in a project for cross-border movement for a production grade build-out of moving cash around globally for banks. And this is real. It's actually happening. So there's an uptick in terms of the amount of work that's going on in this area, both from an investment side, but also from organizations that are implementing and making it real for them. So in our view, this year is about making it much more real, and we see production-grade implementations happening.
Mm-hmm. All right, that was back in 2018. All right, let's look at the next one, Frank Tang. And I think there was only one thing about him that I found. Well, first of all, this is a major China connection. He's a governor of the China Venture Capital and Private Equity Association, which is an association out of China of all their venture capital firms. And remember, there's at least 2 venture capital firms that are invested from China that are invested in Ripple. And also, Ripple is one of the few blockchain companies that is making its way through China. And this guy also is on at the World Economic Forum. All right. Okay. And then there was this, I was searching around Twitter and just typing in Ripple and Accenture. So this is from Spiro. Boom, XRP. The Digital Dollar Foundation unveiled a board of advisors on Thursday, naming 22 individuals who will help the framework for creating a U.S. CBDC, a joint venture between Accenture, Ripple partner, and Digital Dollar Foundation. Before I come back to this tweet, let's look at the Digital Dollar Project, stakeholders in the project. There's Chris Giancarlo, David Treat from Accenture, right? Senior Managing Director, co-lead Accenture's blockchain business. He's one of the guys working on the digital dollar. Whoop, there's Accenture. So Accenture's at the head of this project, right? Wonder if they would like to really push along their investment in Ripple and help let that be a part of that. All right, so the digital dollar, the whole creation, you've got Accenture right at the core of that. So let's go. I looked at the replies to his tweet, and of course, I Am Legion is right in there and bringing us some good information. Accenture is a founding member of the Enterprise Ethereum Alliance and sits on its board of directors. So Accenture's involved in that too. Look at all these things that I Am Legion brings to our attention. R3 is an enterprise. We know about R3. In 2017, Accenture entered into an alliance with R3 and is preferred implementation provider for its Corda platform. All right. Digital Asset. This is Digital Asset Holdings. Accenture entered into an alliance with Digital Asset in 2016. Remember, Digital Asset is backed by JP Morgan. It was started by Blythe Masters, right, from JP Morgan. It's also backed by Citigroup and Goldman Sachs. Accenture entered into an alliance. This is to bring 21st century technologies to existing financial infrastructure. Accenture entered into an alliance with Ripple in 2015. This was at the same time. Remember, 2000, I believe 15 or 16 is when the CME Group invested. And then a year later, they send Miguel Valles to head the XRP markets. All right. And then there's this from I Am Legion, Hyperledger. Accenture is a premier member of Hyperledger, an open source. We've talked about Hyperledger. New interoperability solution. Accenture connects Hyperledger Fabric, Corda, Quorum, and DA. All right. Now, let's see if he brought us anything else. Yes, he did. He's got this from NASDAQ. Institutional summary, Accenture PLC ownership summary. And then this, top 5 holders of institutional holdings. This is in Accenture. Vanguard, BlackRock. There you go, BlackRock again. State Street, which also owns a large portion of SPI holdings, right? That's from I Am Legion. And then we've got this from, he finalized it with that. Okay, and now we showed you that from Digital Asset Holdings. Now, let's finish this off with this video. This is Accenture and DTCC leaders discuss DLT governance.
I'm Rob Latnick, Technology Architect at DTCC.
And I'm Treat, Managing Director and Global Blockchain Lead at Accenture. Rob and I are here at Accenture's Innovation Hub in New York, where we have a saying, the pace of change will never be slower than it is today. Among the many technologies driving exponential change, blockchain, or distributed ledger technology, will be a key catalyst.
Blockchain has attracted global attention for its potential to fundamentally change the way we do business. Thanks to its core characteristics, shared state, uniqueness, tamper evidence, and security, it will provide the infrastructure upon which the next generation of business applications will be built, improving corporate and enterprise operations. However, DLT's full potential will only be realized through the implementation of a strong and transparent governing model. DTCC has been at the forefront of fintech solutions such as cloud computing and DLT, and in collaboration with Accenture, we have produced a new white paper which continues our work to examine fintech innovations to address the many challenges facing financial firms today.
In the paper, Governing DLT Networks, we propose a governance operating model to address approaches to managing the activity, connectivity, software changes, contractual agreements, and transaction finality for every participant across the network. Our proposed DLT governance model is composed of 8 high-level functional areas, ranging from governance, participant lifecycle, runtime operations, data governance, all the way through to third-party management, platform management, infrastructure, and legal and finance.
From our perspective, the DLT governance model outlined in the white paper is a critical and necessary component of DTCC's work with our clients, our partners, and our regulators to modernize the financial industry infrastructure. This paper marks the beginning of an important dialogue, and we will continue working with our clients, industry partners, and our regulators to determine how to leverage new technologies to the benefit of the global financial marketplace.
The pace of change may be fast and accelerating, but having a strategic point of view, focusing on real value, the right partners, the right governance model is necessary to ensure you're in the best position to lead through this exciting period of change. Rob and I welcome an open industry dialogue to help us work together to make this better.
So they were talking in there about infrastructure change and all that. That kind of reminded me of something. Before I forget, something I forgot to go over in this video that you should go check out is go from the Chamber of Digital Commerce, go through their membership list you will see names like BNY Mellon. Many of the names that we've talked about over the last month or so, you'll see them all in that, okay? It's important. All right, let's finish up this conversation about Accenture by showing you first what the owners of Accenture are, which I think I Am Legion showed a little bit of that. The Vanguard group, these guys are right in the middle of all this too. I need to do a look at them too. The Vanguard group, BlackRock, I believe that BlackRock and BNY Mellon and probably the Vanguard group are three of the companies at the center of all of this, at the center of what's happening with Ripple. Write it down, BlackRock and BNY Mellon, folks. You've also got this State Street. You know all about them. Northern Trust is also, remember, Northern Trust is an investor in, I think they're the top U.S. investor in SBI Holdings. Morgan Stanley's down here. Fidelity's in the game. Now, just for giggles, I decided to go look at who owns Vanguard. BlackRock. And this is top owners of American Vanguard Corp. BlackRock, Vanguard, T. Rowe Price, State Street's right in there again. Okay. Now, I'm going to finish this video by I want to keep hitting the layoff situation that's going on because it's important. There's not a lot that a lot of us can do about some of the layoffs that are happening and going to happen. But when you type layoffs on Google, it is just a literal nightmare of layoffs. A lot of people are just getting really hurt by this, and they are saying that as many as 30-something% of the U.S. right here it says unemployment could top 32%. 47 million workers. Now, folks, there's not much I can do to help you in terms of if you are laid off, but the one way that I think that you can do a good thing, and that is you've got to roll your 401ks. If you have a 401k and you do get laid off, take a look at iTrustCapital. It's in the description of every video that I do. What I did is I created a Roth IRA so that I can invest and grow my XRP and whatever else I invest in digital assets and grow them tax-free or tax-deferred depending on what type of accounts you have. But it is an option, and I've got a coupon code in the description of every video that I do where you can get 1 month free with these guys. Very great setup. And you don't even have to roll your whole thing. You could do partial. You could do $5,000 of your 401k. And if you just wanted to have some exposure to digital assets, I believe a lot of people are going to be glad they did. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family that being laid off is terrible, but look for any silver lining you can. And one of them, in my opinion, is that you do have the ability to roll part of your 401k or all if you wanted to, but I wouldn't recommend all. I would say roll a small portion to have a small percentage of exposure to digital assets because they could very well be one of the primary beneficiaries of what's going on. Thank you for listening.